Subscribe to the channel and also press the bell icon to never miss an update from Endeavour Careers.
Welcome viewers. This video is about preparation plan of SNAP 2018. Well, SNAP has declared a pattern change this year. In this video, we'll understand this new pattern. We'll go into each and every section. We'll try to understand what kind of varieties are expected there, and based on that, I'll recommend you a preparation plan section wise, as well as how to prepare for SNAP exam overall. Let's understand the pattern the SNAP has proposed. Last year, we had a 150 question, 120-minute format. Those 150 questions were distributed in 4 sections at 40 questions in Quant, General English and Reasoning section, and 30 questions in GK section. This year, as per the latest communication, we are expecting 35 questions each in General English, Maths plus DI section and in Reasoning section, whereas 25 questions are expected to come in the section that is Current Affairs. The major change here, however, is out of these 35 or 25 questions, 5 questions would be special questions. By special questions, SNAP means that these 5 questions would not have options under them. The test taker is supposed to type the answer in the given space. This means that 3 sections, that is General English, Quant plus DI and Reasoning section, would have 30 normal questions each, and Current Awareness section would have 20 normal questions. Each of these questions would have 4 options, and the marking scheme would be +1 or -0.25. Whereas the special questions, which are 5 per section, would be awarded 2 marks if attempted correctly. They would attract the same 1/4 penalty, which in this case is 0.50 marks per questions. Special questions or key-in questions, that is something new SNAP is trying from this year. A recent example given by SNAP suggests that this can be alphanumeric as well. That means even in a GK question, you are expected to type the answer of that particular word or let's say a country's name in the key-in question. Generally, in various examinations, when key-in questions are observed or asked, answer generally is in a numeric form. We'll have to wait and watch exactly what SNAP does. However, it doesn't change our preparation. Also, we should know that all these key-in questions have a weightage of 2 marks instead of normal 1 mark. So we can expect them to be little more difficult than the usual questions. That doesn't mean they become more attractive for us. If you know the answer, then you attempt them. Otherwise, no. The first section is the section of General English. The formal communication of SNAP says that this will include reading comprehension, various questions on verbal ability, and various questions based on verbal reasoning. So, we can expect questions based on vocabulary, grammar, reading comprehension, and verbal reasoning in this entire section. Traditionally, we have seen that up to half of the section is dominated by vocabulary based questions. So, if you are expecting 35 questions in this section, up to 17 or 18 questions can be just one or another application of vocabulary. For example, find synonym, find antonym, or fill in the blank with the appropriate word. Or analogies. These all are various applications of vocabulary. These are very easy and very fast questions to attempt if you have done decent practice with vocabulary. These are some of the fastest questions and they play a very key role in the strategy of the entire examination. That means a preparation plan for the verbal section would start with getting a good hold over vocabulary by doing a regular practice of vocab based questions every day. In the last year's SNAP paper, we also saw 3 to 4 questions of idioms and phrases. So, when you're preparing vocabulary, ensure that you also keep certain time aside or certain material within your reach which improves your hold over idioms and phrases. These are again known as cash marks if you can attempt them correctly. The next important part of this verbal section would be reading comprehensions. Although they are little less lucrative than vocabulary, but we'll have to attempt some of them. Generally, SNAP is known to give 1 or 2 reading comprehensions. These reading comprehensions are generally of very manageable level, especially for someone who is preparing for other examination known as CAT. This would be easy to moderate reading comprehensions which require a decent practice only. 1 to 2 reading comprehensions may have up to 10 to 12 questions together. Last year we had 2 RCs with 12 questions. With this year, with just 35 questions, we may have little lesser number of RCs. Let's wait and watch, although the preparation doesn't change. Over and above RCs and vocabulary, we do see questions based on grammar. That means there will be 5 to 7 questions testing your grammar skills. So enough practice should be done which deal with the variety of grammar based questions. We should also expect couple of para-jumbles, that is arranging the sentences in right order to create a meaningful paragraph. The practice of the same should also be done. Generally, we have seen verbal reasoning questions to be part of the reasoning section. However, this year, the title of the section is General English, which includes verbal reasoning as well. So we may see some number of questions of verbal reasoning in this section. Now, what do I mean by that? Questions based on syllogism, questions based on strengthen or weaken argument, question checking your holdover course of action, etc. can be expected under this variety known as verbal reasoning. These are generally easier questions, not time consuming questions, and since they are different, a decent practice of the same is expected from a test taker. Overall, this section helps a test taker earn marks at a faster rate. This is largely because of the presence of a huge number of vocabulary based questions that you either know or you don't know. So most of the preparation would be vocabulary focused. Assuming that the test taker is preparing for other examinations, especially CAT, which has good share of RCs, you are more or less ready for the RCs that SNAP can ask. So vocabulary would be the prime focus. From here till the date of SNAP, it is advised that you keep half an hour aside to read different varieties of vocabulary and spend a good time in revising what you learn. This would be a task that would need patience and regular revision. The second section is quantitative ability plus data interpretation plus data sufficiency. That is the title offered by SNAP. That means we should expect some sets of data interpretation in this section, which is dominated by quant based questions. In past, we have seen share of DI ranging from 0 questions to 2 sets, that could be 10 questions. So our preparation plan would also be divided based on this probability. Let's start with quant. Out of 35 questions, let's expect up to 28 questions to be of quantitative region. Out of these 28 questions based on last few years SNAP paper, we can expect 7 to 8 questions to come from the area of arithmetic. So that would be percentage based applications like simple interest, compound interest, profit and loss, simple percentage change, increment, decrement, successive changes, etc. and various ratio based applications, for example time and work or speed distance or even averages or alligation mixture, etc. This would be the easiest and like cash marks for a test taker. Over and above this, you can expect 3 to 4 questions from a chapter called numbers, or the chapters which are dependent on the numbers based questions. Plus, if we see last year's SNAP paper, we saw 6 to 7 questions based on permutation combination and probability. Although that's a very unusual share for these 2 chapters, we should expect a normal share of 3 to 4 questions from these 2 chapters, if not 7 as per the last year's SNAP paper. So do include them in your preparation. If you check pattern of last few years SNAP paper, you realize that there are some questions, let's say 3 to 4 questions, which are based on algebra. For example, linear equation or quadratic equation or a basic variety of inequalities or even set theory can be expected there, or even logarithm. Plus, geometry has a small share of 3 to 4 questions in such papers. All this number of questions or the proportion of various chapters that I shared in this video, they may vary from a paper to paper, although more or less they remain same. Now that we have understood roles and importance of various chapters in quant part of this section, let's understand what should be the preparation plan. First of all, each of these chapters should see a practice of 50 to 100 questions. Assuming that you might have started preparations long back, you may have finished this required practice. If not, try to understand the time available from here till the exam date and try to optimize the solving need. So this starts with chapter wise solving, where you should try to collect a material that has collection of easy to moderate questions per chapter. Second phase would be testing yourself with quant sectionals. By quant sectionals, I mean that you have collection of mixed question chapters which are put together and a 30 to 40 question collection with a time limit. That means you'll be forced to leave some question to optimize your score. That would be an actual test like scenario, although at a section level only. Moreover, this year SNAP has clearly mentioned data sufficiency in the title of the section only. Data sufficiency is not a usual variety in all the SNAP papers, but probably this year we may see some questions based on data sufficiency. This is primarily quant. So all we need to do additionally is a separate practice of this new variety known as data sufficiency. We recommend solving of 50 to 100 questions based on data sufficiency before you go for the actual examination. The remaining part of the section should be of data interpretation. Assuming that we may expect a one set of 6 to 7 questions or two sets of 4 questions each, we would primarily see basic traditional variety of data interpretation, that is table based question or line or pie chart based question or bar graph based question. These are primarily decent calculation based questions only. So the practice of the same would require a collection of 20 to 25 sets on this variety, which would test you on basic percentage increment decrement and basic calculation operations related to data interpretation. The third section's title is Analytical and Logical Reasoning. Assuming that verbal reasoning questions, if any, would be covered in the general English section, let us discuss a possible pattern of this section. Generally, if we see last few years SNAP paper, we have seen a normal share of typical analytical reasoning based chapters at a rate of 1 or 2 questions from each and every variety. These varieties can be blood relation, direction sense, line based arrangement or circular arrangement, then input output based questions, series, coding decoding based questions. They all may have 1, 2 or even 3 questions per variety. Over and above this, we do see questions based on cubes and dices, clocks and calendars. Some questions in which a table has one number missing, a pattern has one number missing, and you are supposed to use a basic logical as well as quantitative skill to find the missing number. Even visual reasoning, even syllogism can be expected here, although it's a verbal reasoning variety. So they all create a decent share of the entire section known as reasoning. By going through the pattern of last few years SNAP paper, we understand that tabular arrangement based questions, for example 4 husbands, 4 wives, 4 cities, 4 years of marriage, and expecting you to solve 4 to 5 questions based on that, this variety has seen a good share in various SNAP paper. Although we missed the same in last year's SNAP paper, but it still is a very prominent variety. So I recommend solving this tabular arrangement based variety in your practice. Over and above this, we should be ready for some surprises. For example, last year's SNAP paper had some questions in reasoning sections which were more of quant, or you can at most call them quantitative reasoning based questions. Yes, we have prepared for them if we have gone through the quant prep plan, but their presence in reasoning section was little surprising. Fine, they should be attempted and there is no change in the prep plan or in the strategy. Plus, certain questions which were totally out of the book. For example, a cartoon picture was given in the last year's SNAP paper and we were expected to solve that question based on the need. Again, such question cannot be practiced when they come. If we feel that we are fine enough to solve this question, you should solve them. So now that we know the possible pattern or the syllabus of this section, what should be the prep plan? Well, it is again simple. All these varieties that I have listed here, you should have done decent practice of each and every variety. A typical practice of 30 to 50 questions is recommended. There would be some stronger and weaker areas. Based on that, the preparation should vary. Also keep in your mind that the material that you collect for practice purpose should have easy to moderate questions in majority, because this exam would need you to move at a rate of 1.5 minute to 2 minute per question. So this would be far easier than other exam known as CAT. The title of the fourth section is Current Affairs. If we see different examinations, they do have a section called General Knowledge. But here, the title itself is Current Affairs. Till last year, SNAP used to give us a complete clarity that the current affairs would be from last 2 years events. This year, they haven't clarified this yet. But very likely, knowing the term current affairs, we should again expect the questions to come from last 2 years major events and news. What can be various subcategories under this current affairs section? Let's say a category of sports. Questions based on various victories, defeats, tournaments, even leading sponsors can be expected there. A category of business questions, for example, various dominant industries or companies or product launch or leadership changes can be expected there. Third could be technology related news. For example, last time we saw a question on Bitcoin. So whatever happened in last 2 years in the technological area should be followed if you wish to maximize marks here in the 2-3 questions that can be expected from this region. Fourth could be who's who, so position held. Various international and national level organizations who have seen some change in the leadership. For example, Prime Minister of a certain country or President or Chief Minister of a certain state or head of an international organization. The questions based on this variety can be asked. Moreover, awards and recognition, some international level or national level awards based on arts or sports or even Nobel or equivalent awards are generally expected in this category. So these are various varieties which are used in defining the current affairs section of SNAP examination. A classic way to work on this particular area is reading newspaper daily. This generally helps in your JDPI preparation as well. If it is too late to start read newspaper, then you are also recommended to go through some general knowledge or current affairs related material available online. This would be a very systematic task of spending half an hour every day in developing your current affair knowledge. Now to summarize the entire video, make a list of all the solving needs that you need to meet in next few days. Understand the time available with you, prioritize the task and try to maximize the solving as per the time available. Second, arrange some sectional test of Quant plus DI, of verbal, which includes verbal reasoning, and normal reasoning. The sectional test should be in line with SNAP format. That should be easy to moderate sets. Some time limit should be given over them so that you can maximize your score, understanding the limitation of the time limit. And finally, the most important and very necessary preparation is subscribing a mock SNAP series. In last 15 days before SNAP examination, it is very necessary that you write up to 5 mock SNAP papers, because that will make you understand the exact dynamics of the examination. For example, in the SNAP examination, students are allowed to decide the order of the questions. So if you wish to start from the reasoning section, you can spend whatever time in the reasoning section, then you can move towards the next section as per your wish. So such dynamics are best understood by practicing mock SNAP only. This will help you fine tune a proposed time per section for you depending on your comfort with each and every section. So overall, you ensure that you subscribe to 5 mock SNAPs and benefit through it. All the best.